Welcome back to the Three Parallels podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, and we make room for who we're trying to become. On today's
Mhm.
show, I got a gift for y'all. A gift. Nice present. Wrapped, right? She's wrapped special. Because this person, I got to tell you the story. And the story is I met Jen. That's what we're going to call her right now. Just Jen. So I met Jen because I want you to get this idea. I want you to get the visual. I'm at this behavioral health summit in DC, random as all get out, but I'm there and it's invitation only. So if you there, you got to be somebody. I mean, I ain't trying to brag on us, but I'm just saying you need to be somebody because it's invite only. So therefore, it's an energy there, not an air. It's energy. And there's some people that brings a lot of energy and it's good, it's nice, it's smooth, it's cool, it's connecting, it's pulling, it's giving, it's providing, it's bright. And then others is a little dim. But this particular person who she was with was a bright light, but she wasn't by herself. So she had a friend, and it was just these two bright lights that caught my attention where I had to go engage and see what is this energy. And that led me to meet the one and only Jenn Hourani. Welcome to the show.
Wow. Can you just follow me around in my life and introduce
Done.
me wherever I go?
Done. Listen, this is the second job I just got introducing people. This is the second contract I got to just fly around and introduce in your
Excellent.
home.
Excellent. Yes, please.
So I had to tell the story. So I'm curious, starting from today, where did
Yes.
this energy come from? Because it's
Mm,
you just have this bright light, this bright gift. Like, we
mm,
just met like yesterday, right? But I just feel
mhm,
this kinetic energy because of the aura that you put out
mm.
there. So where did this come from?
Um, I've been thinking about that question a lot lately because I get that reflection of how I show up or how people experience me. And the last year or so, both in my own life and in my client work as a therapist, I have been thinking a lot about ancestral influences. And I used to think a lot about the women in my family and the inheritances they gave me of showing up with light, being a connector, bringing a certain energy into the room that was needed, whether that was humor or depth or whatever. But I've also expanded that definition to include my relatives, like my uncles, my grandfathers. And I think, especially in the mental health field, there's a lot of talk right now about generational trauma and breaking the curses of our ancestors. But immediately when you spoke about that light, I could feel like my ancestors in the room with me, and I feel them guiding me ever since I started tuning into that a bit more. It's making me a little emotional right now talking about it,
You in
but
good company. You in good
thank
company.
you. Thank you. I think some of some of that light also feels so much more precious with everything happening in the world right now. Our ability to connect to each other, but also connect to our lineage feels like something that's very nourishing, but also a type of resistance to what's going on, like a way of fighting back. And so that light is very important to me. And it's such a gift when I also get to experience it in others. Like I could really feel that energy at the conference that we were both at for Motivo. People in the room that are so genuine and interested in forming generative connections with each other, walking the talk of solving problems and elevating the industry of mental health. So it feels like such a gift that we were there at the same time.
Agreed. And there's no coincidences. There's no coincidence. So
Yes.
we're going to do a lot of great things together. I'm speaking it now because it's going to happen. I feel my ancestors, our
Manifest
ancestors
it.
in this room
Manifest it.
all day.
That's
It's already
right.
done. So
That's
for
right.
those listening, okay, for you listening, y'all need to get some of these breadcrumbs. Okay. We dropping them. We dropping
Hmm.
breadcrumbs
Hmm.
and ripples. Okay. Get you some while you can, while it's
That's right.
hot, while it's
Hmm.
free. Okay.
Hmm.
Let's go. So, Jen, you started the
Yeah,
show in the basement. Okay. Let me
I did.
explain. Let me explain. And it just speaks volumes to who you are. So, all of us, and those listening, for my newbies, for those who've been here for a while, there's three levels, three layers that I
Yeah,
look at as
yeah.
people. We
Hmm.
all come from a house, literal, figurative, the
Hmm.
whole nine.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when you outgrow a certain house, you become a different version of yourself, which makes it hard to go back to that house. You know
True.
exactly what I mean. Everybody listening know too. If you don't know, keep listening. You'll find out.
Hmm.
So there's 3 layers. You got the
Yeah.
attic, living room, basement. Let me break that
Mm-hmm.
down. The
Mm-hmm.
attic is where we spend our most time. We in
Mm-hmm.
there having a good time. It's nice. California
Mm-hmm.
King, nice couch. I mean, it's
That's right.
beautiful. Smells
Love
good
it.
the whole night. You spend a lot of time there. Most of the day,
AC.
you're there, right? AC, yes, AC blasting on 62, and I dare somebody to touch it.
62.
62, it's ice cold in there.
Uh-huh.
And I got a blanket thrown on with me. See,
Of
Jen,
course.
we can't do this. Like we cannot do this. Okay? I'm trying to get there. Okay. So the attic, that's the attic. And then you got the living room. Living room, couch, lay back,
Mm-hmm.
kick back,
Mm-hmm.
shooting socks
Mm-hmm.
off, rubbing your toes
Mm-hmm.
together, watching your favorite TV show. And then you got the
Beautiful.
basement. Basement, dark, sweaty, stinky,
Yeah.
nasty. It's pitch
Yeah.
black. And all the things that happen
Yeah.
to us by us is
Mm-hmm.
all down there. Personal,
Mm-hmm.
professional, everything else. So we put that down in the basement, we put a padlock on it. So those are 3 layers. Let me break those 3 layers down a little bit further. The attic represents our mind. Spend a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
there. The living room is where you are authentically. The
Mm-hmm.
basement is vulnerability. And you started the show in the basement, Jen. Where does this authenticity and vulnerability come from for you? Again, we just met yesterday. Like how,
Yeah.
and we're like
Yeah.
really, really connected. Where did
Yeah.
this come from? And your self awareness to know about,
Mm.
the ancestral connection and even the
Mm-hmm.
internal connection. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't know that. And everyone doesn't give it away the way you
Yeah.
just did.
Yeah.
What's the secret?
Oh, I think there's an identity I hold that used to be very challenging, but that has felt like a source of wisdom as I've gotten older. And it's this identity of being an outsider. So when
Mm.
I was younger, I was raised by a divorced immigrant mother. And for her to do the things she did and be able to survive in the way that she did was so unique. And also through the decisions she made to protect me and to give me a better life, I existed in a way that was very unique. I was an only child. I was constantly around adults. She had a little cafe at UC Berkeley's San Francisco branch. So most of my childhood years were spent talking to professors and international students. And so from a young age, I had a very different experience than most kids where I was already having people pull the curtain back on what life is.
Ooh.
And then I'd be around people that were my age and I was like, what is this? I don't know I don't know how to exist in this space. Um so that was definitely like the beginning of this feeling of being an outsider. But then I was also, both of my parents are from Lebanon, like they immigrated from Beirut, Lebanon, due to some things going on in Lebanon that made it unsafe there. And I was raised in San Francisco, which itself was diverse, but because I went to a lot of private schools growing up, and then I entered the tech field, like working in software, I was also a person of color that was white passing in a lot of white dominant spaces. And so that also created this sense of being an outsider. Um, and then in my 30s, I left tech to become a therapist, which is something that a lot of people were confused by because they were saying, why would you give up that security and predictability and go into this field that can be chaotic and that can exploit? But I found so much beauty and transformation for myself in pursuing this field. And so, all along these different points in my life where initially I felt like an outsider and it was lonely and challenging, I've noticed over time that it also gave me this ability to think differently from the group or from the mainstream. And it's funny that you bring this up here too, because since becoming a therapist, I trained in narrative therapy, and narrative therapy is all about being a revolutionary and questioning the status quo. And in my corporate life, especially in the Bay Area, where everyone works at some glamorous tech company, the tendency was to introduce yourself by way of like what you do for work or what company you work for. And so now I was thinking, like, in this chapter of my life, how do I want to introduce myself in the world? because yes, I am a therapist. I work at a group practice. I know EMDR, et cetera. But I'm starting to think a little bit more about introducing myself based on like what part of me feels very alive and very resourced at that moment in time. And so I came up from the basement to say hello.
Ooh, oh, come on. Come on. Listen, you can't be on this show wilding like this. Like this your first time. You just your
Okay.
first time. I mean, you
Okay,
coming
I'll
back.
log off. I'll
You
log off.
coming back.
Got
You
you,
coming
you
back.
got what you needed. I'll log off now.
I love it. So, to the listeners, I hope y'all paying attention because this is deep. This is deep quick. We
Mm,
sometimes don't get here this fast. And
mhm,
that's the human side. If you think about what you
mhm,
just shared, you peeled back all the layers. You
mm,
talked about the human, you talked about the connection, the being,
yeah,
and then we talked about the things that we do, what we enjoy, and the whole nine. Like you're talking about it, and it brought up a lot of questions. Um,
yeah.
and just who you are. I'm thankful for this moment to share
Mm,
you with the listeners. I really am
thank you.
because you know how great you are. Um, but everybody doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't. So to me, to be able to share you with others because they would have
Mm,
ever heard or met you, it means something because the things that you share, because they're so deep, they're so intimate,
mm,
they're so authentic, they're so
mhm,
vulnerable, it gives people permission to do the same.
mhm, mhm.
That's what you've done. You gave people permission to do the same. Now, on this show, everything happens in real time organically. And as
Yeah.
a narrative therapist,
Yes.
I want to challenge you to shift your
Yeah.
narrative. This is happening in real time,
Ooh.
y'all.
Okay.
So, Jen, you
Excellent.
mentioned
Yeah.
again vulnerability. Mentioned being feeling like an outsider. Consider yourself to be an outsider because of these
Uh-huh.
multiple layers and levels. And there's
Yes.
a connotation that comes with outlier. There's a meaning behind it that's like,
Yeah.
and I want to challenge you to create a new word that gives you a different meaning that doesn't leave you with, hmm. And that
Mm.
word I would like to offer you is moving away from who you once were, the old Jen who was an
Mhm.
outsider, to
Mhm.
who you're trying to become, the new Jen who's actually an outlier. There's a difference.
Wow.
Yes.
That's powerful.
And that's yours. If you want it, it's yours. It changes everything. And you know that. Words are powerful.
That
Words have so much
does.
meaning.
That does.
You're not
Yeah.
the same anymore. You just
Yeah.
changed. Like you just I hope y'all seeing this happening in real time. We didn't plan this. We didn't practice. This is happening in real time. That's what I heard. I heard
Yeah.
the old you, I heard the current you, I heard the future you. Her, capital Her, and I ain't talking about the R&B singer with the guitar. I'm talking about her.
Love
All
her.
caps. Right. Yes.
Oh,
So if you think
queen.
about it, she's an outlier. The old you is an
So
outsider.
true.
So I would love to hear your
So
thoughts.
true.
I just gave you that one. What are your thoughts?
So true. I mean, I think those identities are intertwined, and maybe the outlier is like the next phase,
Come on.
because there's a certain like pain that comes with being different, thinking different,
Yes.
speaking different from people around you. And over time, as you integrate that into who you are, you realize like it takes courage to show up with depth and vulnerability and authenticity. And for a lot of clients that I work with, we talk a lot about like using your voice and how to not silence yourself.
Yes.
And it makes me think about some of the gifts of being an outsider, but I also agree with you that sometimes I used to have this recurring dream of like being on a hill and looking down at a village and thinking like, when am I going to go into that village? And I think
Mm,
that dream represents that feeling of like being slightly distanced from everything else, where you can
yes.
observe it safely and not have to be in it. But an outlier is kind of like that rebel that is actually integrated into
Come
the
on.
village.
Come
And
on.
that is modeling things, but also like learning from others and allowing
Yes.
themselves to connect with others than just being at a distance, which has been a little bit safer for me for most of my life. But at this point, yeah, I think I have some energy for being an outlier.
All day long. I see it because I see her.
I
Hey, we just met her. Hey, how you doing, girl? What's
know.
good?
My
Hey.
God, I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
right, let's go. So that's yours. And for the listeners, I would challenge you the same way. Okay. So what
Hmm.
comes up for me, and I
Hmm.
got to give a shout out to one of my team members, Ace. Ace gave me this recently about me challenging. Like she
Yes.
shared that I just have
Yes.
a way of challenging people in some capacity. That's just who I am. I never knew that.
Yes.
I just this is what I do. I just see it. So now I'm choosing to be intentional about it. And
Yes.
what you just did or allowed to happen in real time with us together, for you all listening, this applies to you as well. So
Hmm.
all of us have
Hmm.
a story, all of us have a narrative, and it does not change. It has not changed for years until now. Now you have an opportunity to change a word, a phrase, a statement, a question, a thought, a belief, whatever. Shift it
Absolutely.
and see what happens because who you're trying to become speaks that language. Whew.
Absolutely.
Okay, so back to you.
Where
All
do
right,
we go
audience.
from here?
Oh, I already got you. Where do we go is how did you go from two different extreme professions and do
Yeah.
well at both? So, and when
Oh,
to break that down a bit,
yeah.
you started in the tech side, which,
Yes.
a lot of tech people may not have, you know, the skills set, the characteristics, the personality, the,
Hmm.
what the vulnerability, the what requires you to be a therapist. A lot of people in tech may not have that. And then on
Right.
the other side, a lot of people that are therapists who have that empathy, they may not be great at tech. Those are two
Right.
different
Right.
arenas. How did you
Totally.
navigate both of those worlds? And what made you decide this can't be it? So I'm going to go in this
Hmm.
direction.
Hmm. I love that question. I think I was very privileged to have the social network I did that allowed me to come into the tech industry. So I was referred to my first tech job around 2014. I worked at a company called Glassdoor, where people write reviews for companies. And then I worked at Salesforce. Then I worked at a couple of smaller companies, and I landed at one of my favorite companies, Udemy, where I worked for a few years. And honestly, throughout that time, I think my biggest asset was my ADHD.
Okay.
Typically, we see that as like a challenge or a disruption, but for me, it was this source of creativity and adaptability and always being able to um, come up with new solutions or to dive into projects with a lot of enthusiasm and ways of seeing things differently. My friends used to joke throughout my corporate life that the phrase that every hiring manager would say to me when I first got hired is, "We're going to throw you in the deep end." That's kind of a running joke in the tech field. Like you're expected to do more with less, you're expected to overperform to be at
Mm.
baseline. And my ADHD mind really thrived in that atmosphere because everything is fast paced, everything is a problem to be solved. And the interpersonal aspect, because I was a customer success manager, which is like an account manager. So I was responsible for client relationships after they had signed a contract with us. The interpersonal aspect was also super enjoyable for me because I got to know clients as people. I got to host little get togethers for clients that were in similar positions of leadership or solving similar problems at their organizations. So the well-roundedness of my work in tech was very enjoyable to me. I was always learning. I had so many incredible mentors that invested in like guiding me, and my my path in tech was also very lucky because I landed at companies where I was, for the most part, like treated well and given opportunities to advance. Like I was given promotions. And as a child of immigrants, it felt very stabilizing for me to know that I was good financially. I could support myself. I could support my parents if they needed it. And then I think in during the pandemic, I was starting to feel the weight of like the comfort of my life. I was very comfortable. I could go to expensive restaurants. I could buy things for my mom. I could travel without thinking twice. But something at the core of it felt very empty. And then when the pandemic happened and people were talking about mental health all of a sudden, we were all processing the murder of George Floyd and there was all this civil unrest. I started thinking a little bit more about um, what could hold more weight in my life than comfort and predictability? And it was a very difficult question to ask because I think all of our lives were upended in some way during the pandemic, and that felt like a great time to cling to comfort and predictability. But I remember going to sleep every night during the pandemic and just feeling so overwhelmed by everything happening in the world, and then waking up and having conversations about software. There was this big existential gap of like how I was living and what was happening in the world. And once I decided that mental health was like a direction I was ready to go in, because that had been a passion of mine since I was 16, I made very calculated moves, like micro moves. And that's also something I really want to recommend to people because I have people reaching out to me every other week on LinkedIn saying, how do I get out of tech? How do I transition to a different career? But it feels risky because people see it as an all or nothing decision. But I took so many baby steps. Like I took an online psychology course, I went to different open houses for master's programs. So I was thinking of the career change as not like a series of 10 steps, but one next step. And if that next step felt good, I would then take the next step. And so once I got into the therapy field, all of the conditioning and training I had gained from the corporate world was so helpful in terms of advocating for myself as a therapist. I I was always amused by the look of shock on people's faces when I would try to negotiate my salary or when I would leave a workplace where I had expressed feeling like I was being spread too thin, because some of the self advocacy that you naturally have in the corporate world is seen as centering yourself a little too much, being a little too much of a squeaky wheel, asking for too much when you're a good person and you're in this field to help people. I think this conversation came up at the conference that we were at as well with a couple people I
Absolutely.
spoke with. We're not seen as professionals, we're seen as helpers. And so,
Mhm.
coming from a field where I was a professional, I was in the room with VPs and C suite all the time. I held on to that persona for myself, and it allowed me to see myself as the CEO of my career as a therapist, when most of the time you're being treated as a piece in the machine as a therapist. And so I found those identities to be very like complementary.
Wow. Wow. Bars. Okay.
Bars.
Bars. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for allowing us
Yeah.
in. And this connects so many more dots that I'll share later.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about, a lot of people are in the middle of, where they are
Yes.
currently is where
Yes.
you've been,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where it's like even, outside of tech related to the corporate
Yeah.
perspective or corporate industry versus helping or others, and it's a
Exactly.
culture. It's a culture, and you learn how to
Absolutely.
navigate that culture and getting out of it using what you learn to benefit where you are right now, which is it's
Hmm.
impressive. And a lot of people have a hard time making that transition. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, like, it sounds like it was a very internal, like emotional, like my
Mm.
values, my
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, morale. Like there was a
Mm-hmm.
heavy lift there because you were dealing with so many different layers related to identity and finances and
Hmm.
starting over, starting different. And you
Totally.
did it anyway, not
Yeah.
knowing, and you're still on your journey.
Yeah.
Um, like what gave it, and I value, I really appreciate you sharing and making it micro, taking small steps.
Yes.
And even in this, like you can't just take a small
Yeah.
step and then that's it. Like I've turned, I'm in this direction.
Right.
No, you got to keep walking.
Right.
So
Right.
how would you recommend for someone to not only make that pivot, make the turn, but to
Yeah.
go all in with it,
Mm-hmm.
expecting the best? Because
Mm-hmm.
some people make that turn and go all in, but expect it
Right.
not to work. You don't have that.
Absolutely.
Tell us about
Absolutely.
it.
Well, I think one mindset that I went into my career transition with was, this is an experiment that I need to do for my life story.
Okay, time out, time out. Wait, listen, I'm finna kick you out. I'm finna kick you out of here. We
That's
finna
it. We're
kick you
done
out of
here.
here.
We're done here.
So,
I
because
gotta go. I gotta
again,
go.
We
I
haven't
gotta move my
left.
car.
We haven't left the basement yet. We haven't left. Like we down here peeking out the window. Hey, what's that? But we still in the basement, Jen. God, dog.
You
Okay,
know, I was an
we
English
down here.
major in college.
I'm here for it. Okay, the
Every,
listeners are here
every
for it.
conversation is literature.
I'm with it. This is the
We're
right
doing
place.
it.
I'm
We're
telling you,
doing it.
the audience, the listeners, the gators, the salamanders, they eating this up. They eating this up right now.
Yeah,
So in
they
order
are.
to eat
They
it
are.
better, because this is why I wanted
Yes.
to pause, because what
Yes.
you're sharing is Jules Jim's breadcrumbs that
Yeah.
is pivotal with
Yeah.
transformation.
Yes.
And for me, this is part of this platform and this podcast. Stories are impactful. You're a great storyteller as well.
Absolutely.
Stories are so impactful and powerful, and you're sharing yours, which is truth, which is facts
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
off of your life, and you're
Yeah.
sharing it in a way that's easy to digest.
Mm.
Okay. So,
I love
to
that.
the listeners, get your
Yeah.
notebooks, get your Gator Girls journal, get whatever you need to get to write this down. Because I pushed pause, because Jen finna bust y'all in the head with a honey bun. I'm telling you, it's coming. He finna bust y'all up. That was just part. That was just the intro. That was just salad.
Lovingly.
That was a salad. So
That was a little salad.
please do what you
Yes.
do. Because now the listeners ready. Please do what you do.
Now they're ready. Um, I I can see how, like, throughout our lives, especially in America, a lot of things we do are outcome based. Like,
Mm,
you're in school, and the point of school is to get good grades and go to whatever your definition of a good school is for your next chapter. And then you go to that school, and your goal is to get a job. And then your goal is to buy a house. And there's this linear formula. And I think that shadow of the formula is always working on us. Like, even when I work with clients and I tell them, okay, now you're going to draw how you're feeling today, they're like, well, I'm not an artist. Well, I suck at drawing. It's like, if the outcome isn't perfect, then why do it? That's how we've been conditioned to think in Western American society. And there are a lot of people that go into the mental health field with a certain expectation of how it's going to go. Like, I'm going to go into the field and I'm never going to have to worry about work-life balance again because this is my passion. Or I'm going to go into the field and I'm going to make like 200,000 a year because I'll be like an expensive private practice clinician. There are all these expectations that people put on the experience of being a therapist. And I had quite a few people in my cohort in grad school who had come from the corporate world into therapy and had very mixed experiences. And some of them left the field after completing their master's because they realized, like, this isn't for me. The way I was seeing this chapter of my life is, I don't know where the shift is going to take me. I don't know if this means I'll be a therapist for the rest of my life, but there's something about this that feels like it would be worse to regret it than to do it. And
absolutely.
I think each of those micro moves was also building my confidence. And one thing I get asked a lot just in the world or by clients is, how do you know what your intuition is and what your anxiety is?
Mm,
And I always want to say, like, your intuition is peace-based. It's
mm,
it's a voice that gives you peace, that's leading you to something that's going to give you peace. And your anxiety is fear-based. And whenever I would take an online class, I was like, maybe this makes me nerdy because I'm a lifelong student, but I felt so much peace learning about the brain, learning about life stages of development. I felt so much peace going to open houses and hearing how professors and alumni were talking about their work. I didn't feel that peace in the corporate life. I just felt comfort and like this settledness that was such a blessing. And I think there are a lot of people in the country that would have sacrificed a lot to be given the opportunities I was given. But I just kept making these small moves. Each small move gave me peace. And so I kept following that direction. But even if at any point you stop going in that direction, like, you get into grad school and you decide not to go so that you can save up money, or you finish your master's and you decide, like, hey, being a licensed therapist, not for me, there's still so much value and meaning in the experience. We don't have to exist in this binary of success and failure. just the experience itself and your courage to explore that one next move has so much power. And so for me, it's an experiment, even to this day. I mean, from the lens of my passion, I would love to continue being a therapist and continue doing trainings and own my own practice, maybe a group practice. But I also try to keep some flexibility for like actually becoming who I am, not having this rigid idea of who I am. And so becoming a therapist just felt like something I had to do for myself. And although the core of me is similar and I still hold a lot of the same values, I feel like I've transformed so much just by being open to the experience and being in work with my clients, but also letting the work change me. So I feel
Whew,
so, so fortunate and blessed.
whew, your words to me, like I feel fortunate and blessed.
Oh,
We feel
we.
fortunate and blessed
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying, again, this is your experience, so you live it. That's
Yeah.
what gives
Yeah.
you the facts. The
Yeah.
facts give you the confidence. The
Mm-hmm.
practice gives you the
Mm-hmm.
comfort. That's what's happening.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious because
Absolutely.
a lot of things had to happen to get here. And there's a
Yes.
couple of things that you said I want to highlight. The first is um, this die hard. I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm going.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do right now. I'm doing it. I'm going. And
Yes.
not being afraid to fail. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
courage, risk taking. Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
care. You don't care. Who leaves corporate for a
I
therapy job?
know.
Come on.
I know.
Come on. Come on. That's
A lot more
courageous.
people are doing it lately.
And
A
there's a
lot more people.
agree. And there's a
There's a
reason.
shift.
I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you were able to live in both worlds so you understand it.
Yes.
And there is no
Yes.
desire, to go to a place you already been. And because of the
Absolutely.
experience, that's why you're here, which leads to the
Right.
second. So you had this risk taking and fearless and confidence. The other side of it is, this mind shift of the journey and not the destination.
Yes.
How did you transition? Because you're absolutely right. Our culture, our society as a whole, everything, it's aligned to compete and compete to get
Yes.
to the end. And for you,
Yes.
you decided not to do that. And I'm so proud of you sharing that because that's how I live as well. Is
Yes.
journey. Because in the
Yes.
journey, that's the experience that teaches you whatever you need for the next
Mm-hmm.
chapter.
Mm-hmm.
How did you figure that out? Like this destination mindset isn't the way. I'm going to try it this way. How did that
Yeah.
happen?
Getting old. You know, you're getting older
What time for
when a
father
lot of,
time?
yeah, like when a lot of cliches start making sense and they blow your mind. You're like, wait, it is the journey, not the destination. Wow, they were so right, whoever they were.
I'm loving all of this. I'm loving all of this. I feel like we can go ahead and like cut and do a Geico commercial where they had the parents on there. You're not your parent. We can go and do that. We can go and do that. Get us the episode
I was
in.
hoping for a Geico commercial. Yeah,
We just made one.
yeah.
We just made one. So how? You said getting older,
Getting
wiser,
older, yeah,
seeing things
yeah. I
different.
think in my 20s, I was just drifting and I would do things like that felt good in the moment. Like I wanted to be a creative writer. If I wanted to go visit a new city, whether or not I had the money, I would book the flight. I would go there the next month. I was just wandering. And then in my 30s, I started to zoom out a little bit and think about what impact I wanted to have in the world. And
Mm,
that, like a lot of people, was very heightened by COVID and this feeling of like the world needs more people that are following their passion and listening to their inner voice. But that was also just like my way of expressing that. There are people that are still in the corporate world, many of whom are children of immigrants. And what gives them peace is being able to pay their bills and have a certain kind of lifestyle and take care of their parents because that's something that's woven into a lot of other cultures is like you have this expectation, which is also like I think a beautiful thing, like a generational respect to take care of your parents. And America's expensive. And I mean, I'm still figuring out how all these different parts of my life can work financially as a therapist. But there's always a next step, there's always a new idea. And I think what's been really, really inspiring for me is now that I've come out of this tunnel of just focusing on my hours and making that the center of my life, I've started to come out of the cave and socialize and make connections and network again. And that reminds me of how big the world is and how, like, if there are projects or things that are going to expand my opportunities, they're going to come from the people I meet. So, yeah, I think it was a mix of different things, and I feel really lucky to be in the position I'm at today.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh man. So we're gonna go into rapid fire questions, but before we go into rapid
Yes.
fire questions, I want to go back to early in the
Yeah.
episode where you brought something up that was so powerful to me because you talked
Yeah.
about it, you addressed it,
Yeah.
you acknowledged it. And this is a very diverse listening audience. And
Yeah.
some people aren't familiar with some of the terminology that you may have shared. And I do want to take a
Hmm.
moment to highlight what you mentioned about
Yeah.
working in corporate or working in tech and being
Hmm.
considered white passing. I don't know if you identify in
Right.
that way or that's what's been considered. If you could shine a light on this lived experience and to
Hmm.
educate people on what does that mean? What does that look like?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for acknowledging that. Um, I think I have had a complicated but still privileged experience of coming from a culture, like a Middle Eastern culture, that is very rich and very different from white American culture. And at the same time, the privilege comes from my name, Jenn Hourani, not being conspicuously Middle Eastern. So people have never really been able to place me unless I share my ethnicity with them. But I also appear white in different spaces. And I'm very aware of the fact that simply appearing white has given me opportunities or opened certain doors for me that may not have been opened otherwise. And additionally, when I first started working in tech, it was still not as diverse as it is now. And so I was in a lot of rooms with leaders or salespeople or colleagues where most of the people I worked with were white. And that's not to like throw shade on anyone or say that it was problematic, but there definitely was this feeling of like a double consciousness, like this is who
Mm.
I am. And I think it's been described so many ways, like code switching. I also, since in honor of Juneteenth, I think a lot about the concept that W.E.B. Du Bois wrote about of double consciousness, like the
Mhm.
population of people who had just recently been freed as slaves and were getting integrated into society and having this double consciousness of like being a freed person, but also having to perform in a certain way to be palatable enough that they were safe.
Yes.
And I was never in a situation where I felt like my life was in danger or my safety was at risk. But I think there's a certain level of performance that comes with being someone that has a culture on the inside, but on the outside could easily blend in with a group of people that are Caucasian. And there also wasn't as much curiosity about culture and diversity as there is today. Like, I think it's absolutely incredible, especially when I work with Gen Z clients, how they
Mhm.
come in and they are so culturally knowledgeable and aware, and diversity matters to them, and they're willing to fight for it. That is something that has really shifted in the mainstream because when I was growing up, it was more about like, how can we all look like a certain group of people to blend in and to assimilate? And so there was this running joke between my cousins and I that we're white during the week and we're Middle Eastern on the weekends. And it was a very strange juxtaposition. We're like, we can never bring Middle Eastern foods to school if you want
Wow.
to fit in and not be made fun of. And now I go
Wow.
to these high-end, pretentious restaurants where all the ingredients that were not allowed for my school lunch are now on the menu for an entree that's $52.
I love it. Talk
It
it.
gets
Talk it,
it's
Jen.
all full circle. It's all full circle.
Talk it, Jen. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much. Thank you for all of that
Thank
because you just
you.
gave a history lesson, history. You gave so many lessons, culinary arts, seasoning the week.
That's
You
right.
gave
That's
so
right.
much with that. And again, the reason I want to highlight it because it's
Yeah.
your lived experience. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. It's like, yeah, this is
Yes.
this is how life has been. And
Right.
even the code switching piece is just a
Yes.
normal part of the culture if you want to be or do it, it's just part of it.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes because things are a part of our just norm, we don't see how it's so impactful for other people to become aware, And on
Absolutely.
this
Yep.
show, I talk a lot about, my life as a black male, regardless of my education credentials. I'm a black male in America, period. Even as
Yeah.
a therapist,
Yeah.
I got a therapist.
Yeah.
Part of it because I'm a black man in America, but
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
part of it. But
Absolutely.
like, so that's our lived experiences are true, but a lot of people don't know. And that's what I love about the show. We can highlight it. So now we can
Yeah.
have conversations and people that's listening can have conversations with other people about what's being talked about because we're not talking about it.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
whew. Okay. So we're going to get out the basement for a minute, but I
Okay.
know you, so I know we're going back. So
Okay.
I got some,
You know me.
so I got some rapid fire questions before we get out of here.
Yes.
And you have done a lot of customer work, sales, customer service. Like you've worked
Yeah.
with people. Like people has been your thing.
Yes.
So it's people, tech, then let me help people. So out of
Yes.
these worlds, and just being a
Exactly.
person, from birth to where you are
Yes.
now, you've come in contact with a lot of people. I'm curious to know
Yeah.
what have you learned about people after all these
Mm-hmm.
years?
What a beautiful question. I've learned that people have more in common than they think. Like there are so many things we struggle with that we isolate to ourselves. There are so many things we all love that bring us joy or comfort or playfulness that we share. But the systems at work want to keep us all separate and thinking that we're separate because that's how we're less powerful as a collective.
Whew,
And
whew.
so
Time
the
out.
basement
I'm
door,
sorry. Did I
the
tell you we was?
basement door
Did I tell
slides.
you we was going back? Jen, didn't I
So
tell
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Listen, we might as well just go home, relax, get the blankets out. We're in the basement, y'all. This whole episode, we go up a couple steps and come right back downstairs. But
It's
you
a
you
very
teaching.
comfortable
You're
basement.
you're teaching, sharing all of this truth. And I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. I
yeah.
I love it. Period. So please continue. But
Yes,
I want to take a pause
yes,
again for the listeners. I'm
yes.
pausing intentionally because
Mm,
what Jen is sharing it's like a fire hose.
mm,
It's a lot. And it's
mm-hmm.
heavy because it's so many different layers. And sometimes we need time to process. So sometimes
Yeah.
when I jump in is when you drop bars, buns, and everything else, I got to take a
Mm-hmm.
pause for people to digest it.
I
And
love
you're
it.
speaking so much beneath the surface
Yeah.
without, like, we didn't have to go through a lot to get here. And it's out of
Mm-hmm.
love and transparency and authenticity and growth. Like you've done your
Thank
work as
you.
well.
Thank
Okay, let's
you.
go.
Work with a capital W.
Come on, you've done it.
That's
You've
right.
done it.
That's
And
right.
it speaks volumes, which means everything that you're sharing, you just gave permission to a
Mhm.
lot of people to consider doing what
Yes.
you've done.
Thank you.
Honey bun, honey bun, honey
Thank
bun.
you.
Whew.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So I
Okay.
stopped your flow. I didn't know if you wanted to keep going with that
No, that's all I
or you want
had.
next one. Okay. All right, cool. Whew. I'm just whew. Whew, so much. Okay. What's a word, phrase, memory, or
Yes.
moment that has stuck with you personally or professionally?
Hmm. Hmm. Phrase. Ooh, okay. Yes. I've been thinking about this phrase because community is very important to me. I don't know if I have the exact wording down, but it's never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Indeed, that's
Mm.
the only thing that has.
Ooh, gems, bars, honey
Yeah.
buns. You just
Yeah.
keep dropping them. I love it. I'm here for it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for that. Thank you for that. So a couple
Yeah.
more we're gonna get out. I'm curious. The listeners are
Yes.
curious. What's the
Mhm.
interesting fact about you that a lot of people don't know?
Interesting fact about me. Hmm. I think I am a nature lover that has been forced to live in a city for most of
Woo!
my life. I love the forest. I love the ocean. I love being out in the wilderness. But I do love what the city offers. Like, I love nice restaurants. I love culture. I love museums. I love going to the movies. But nature is a place where I really find my peace. And it's also a place where I feel like I don't have to do anything. Like, there's no goal, there's no task in front of me, which is how a lot of our everyday lives feel as adults. It's really nice to just go for a walk in nature or go hiking or go somewhere by the water and have no end goal or agenda of how long you're going to be there. Just walk for like 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. And I started doing outdoor therapy because of that. So that was a really nice way to integrate something I'm passionate about into my work.
Oh my goodness. We are family. Okay. I'll share later. I'll share
Yes.
later. We're family. You're a sister from another mister. You are family. Just know that. Just know that. So a couple more, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah. Okay.
If you could describe using one
Hmm.
word, or if you can do,
Yes.
if you want to do more, you can do more. I don't want to limit you.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you were to use a word to describe who you were, who you are,
Yes.
who you're becoming, how would you
Yeah.
describe those three people?
Hmm. I want to say monarch because I've been walking with my clients by the water and we see a lot of monarch caterpillars and we know that eventually they're going to become monarch butterflies. But when
Mm.
they're caterpillars, they're a little helpless and sensitive because they're so squishy.
Mhm.
And then they have the cocoon phase. And I don't know if you've ever seen a cocoon for a monarch, but it has little threads of gold. If anyone is
Mm.
curious about this, look up monarch cocoons. You'll see how they're green and they have threads of gold. They're really, really beautiful and very protective of the caterpillar as it's changing. And then they're monarchs and they're very recognizable. Like, I don't know any species of butterfly, but I know what a monarch is when I see it.
Nice. Nice. I love it. I love it. Oh, you just
Thank
put
you.
us on game. You just put us on game and you're
I
connecting
did.
dots related to the three parallels because
Yes,
in this capacity, we use that same analogy related to the butterfly and
yes.
the cocoon,
I love
the
it.
vulnerability piece. That's a salamander. Squishy, vulnerable. Yes,
Oh,
indeed. That hard outer
beautiful.
shell, that's the
Yes,
gator. So you
yes.
become a gator. Life gives you the
Oh,
gator scales. So
that's
it's the
right.
same. So I'm using
That's
going,
right.
no, I'm integrating the
Oh, I
monarch.
love
Just know,
that.
butterfly
I
coming.
love that. I love
What am I
that.
coming? All right. So last thing is a keepsake. So now you shared a lot. You dropped a lot of gems. So now
Yes.
on this show, we don't do homework. We do life work. Because when you do
Oh,
life work,
I
it's
love
something
it.
that you can do to create a pivot, a
Yes,
perspective shift or change, becoming
yes.
a monarch. So if you
Mm-hmm.
were to
Mm-hmm.
offer something to the listeners that's life
Yes.
work for them, a challenge for
Mhm.
them to do something new, different, and uncomfortable to become the
Yes.
best version of them, what would that be?
Mm. Satisfy your playful side. We're doing some heavy lifting as adults in 2025. What are some things that bring up joy that feel playful? My partner is really good at this. He's taught me a lot about this because he is an incredible man, very values driven, has a great career, fulfills all his responsibilities, and he loves video games. He loves the comic book store. He loves Pokemon, like all of these things that gave him joy as a kid. And it's so interesting because a lot of people in their adult life struggle to do self-care that feels like quality time with themselves. They're like, Jen, I don't know what that means other than a massage or going to get a frappe at Starbucks. I always tell people, what did you love as a kid? What did you do naturally or spontaneously when you were little? Do that now and do it for the experience, not for what the art piece is going to look like. Don't go to the park to do like this intense 1 hour workout. Just go to be in the process of it. But like we need more playfulness in our lives as adults. So that's my advice.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it here first. That inner child, that little kid that's in the
Mhm.
basement, is
Yes,
down there waiting on you to go down there and have a conversation, do some stuff. Jen, that was beautiful.
100%. Thank
That was
you.
powerful. Oh man. So
Thank
as we close this thing out,
you.
there's gonna be people, I'm sorry, there are people that just
Mhm.
want to be in your space and in your face.
Oh,
So if people want to connect with you, if there are any products or services, you're
uh-huh,
seeing new
uh-huh.
clients,
Yes,
share whatever you
I love
have,
it.
we
Yes.
want. So give it
Okay,
away.
I will. So I will say this is my cocoon stage. So I'm ideating about what I want to offer. Right now, I'm primarily a therapist. I also do coaching for people that want better work-life balance. And this is my free giveaway without being a client. One of those ways to have work-life balance is to come back to your values and think about what your life values are, because there's a way that work takes over our whole identity. So I do a lot of work in that in coaching, but I think another direction I want to nurture, like something that will bring out monarch energy in the next year or
Ooh,
two,
let's
is
go.
facilitating or being in spaces with others. So doing things like this, like sharing knowledge with others. Um, I have noticed how much people also really want community, like being around other people, like transplants to a new city, getting to meet other transplants. So I'm also thinking about ways that I can hold space for groups, not just individuals, and be part of groups as well, like be going to conferences more, be doing speaking engagements. So I think the best way to find me is probably LinkedIn. I connect with a lot of people that way, and people also get a sense of who I am with the content that I post. Um, and yeah, I also have an Instagram account where I post mental health content. It's Jenn Hourani Wellness. So those are all the places for now to find me.
Done and done. Done and done. Don't be surprised you get a call, text, email, DM. Don't be surprised.
I'm an only
Your
child. I
words
love the
have value.
attention.
And that, thank you for giving us this segue to the close, being an only child, right? So I got to ask one question before I give you what I
Yes.
got. When
Hmm.
is your birthday? You don't have to say the year, but when is your birthday?
March 5th, 1988.
Okay. Makes sense. All right, here we go. I'm finna hit you in the head with a honey bun.
Okay.
Whew. There's a connection, genuine,
Oh,
authentic. This is the
mm,
bright light that I was
yes.
talking about when we first met, right?
Yes.
So there's a connection that we have. Number one, I'm an only child as well.
Oh,
Yep. So I also made the transition from academia to
yes.
corporate. I'm sorry, academia to higher education to corporate, back
Yes.
to
Yes.
academia. And now I'm
Wow.
going to go to this next journey as
Hmm.
because I'm having Monarch energy right now. So I'm going to open a whole
That's
nother
right.
door. I'm a
I love
podcaster
it.
as well. Right.
Yes.
Monarch energy all day long.
That's
The
right.
movies. I'm a cinephile as well. Love movies as well.
Wow.
ADHD. I just got diagnosed yesterday, Jen. I just got diagnosed yesterday. That's why we connected. I'm dead
I
serious.
know.
Yesterday, as in
You
like
should have
in
told me. I
April.
would have had confetti.
I can't tell you everything. We just met. We just met. Slow down, Jen. We just met.
Yeah, I have some flower petals. Flower petals. There you go.
I'll take them. I'll take them.
Wow.
Ecotherapy.
Hmm.
Ecotherapy. You like seeing
Hmm.
your therapist in nature. I
Yes.
do the same
Yes.
thing. I also see
Yes.
clients in nature. I also have
Yes.
class in nature.
Wow.
Everything is in nature for me, even working virtually. Jen, we are connected. Told you from the jump.
Absolutely.
Told
Absolutely.
you from the jump.
That's
And your birthday is
incredible.
what again? When's your birthday?
March 5th.
March 5th. And my wife's
Hmm.
birthday, March 3rd. Just kinetic.
Wow.
It's just kinetic. I told it's just
That's
kinetic. I had to hit you in the head with a honey bun.
amazing.
You can't just hit my audience and just not expect
I
me to
know.
hit you with a honey bun.
I know. I know. Do I get to ask
Oh
you a
man. So I
question
had to
or
share.
are we done?
Yeah, ask away. We got time. We got time. What you got?
I just wanted to ask you what it's like to hold space for people, like to be in people's experiences and to be asking these great questions. What is it like on your end?
It's like being able to use what I'm really good at to
Mm,
help people become good at who they actually are because we
mm,
discover that person together.
mm-hmm.
It happened with me and you when you mentioned
Yeah,
an outsider.
yeah.
Immediately, I'm in the basement, but I need to come up and bring you down with me. But I went right
Right.
into the basement
Right.
first because it's
Right.
identity. And when you
Yes.
shift your perspective or your narrative, you shift your identity from who you
Mm-hmm.
were to who you are, who you're becoming. Those are identities. So for me,
Absolutely.
because again, I agree with you, we doing some heavy lifting. And when you
Yeah.
do that heavy lifting, it makes everybody else's stuff seem so light.
Absolutely.
So when
Thank
I
you for
come
your
into these
service.
places, yes, when I come into these places, I know what it is, I know what it requires. So that's
Yeah.
why I don't mind being in it because being
Mm.
in it allows us to transform together. Let me break that
Yeah.
down a bit. I look at us as people such as yourself being on this
Yeah.
show in my office as a therapist, a client, supervisee, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
on a journey together. Again, Jan, we speak the
Yeah.
same language. We're on a
Yeah.
journey together. You're in the driver's seat. I'm on the passenger side, holding the map up, turning up the radio. I'm not here to drive. I'm here to ride. So it's nothing for me to ride. I'm a great
Yeah.
passenger because I ain't got to do
Yeah.
nothing but be
Oh.
present for you. And as
Mm.
long as you're present with yourself, it's a win-win. And the
Mm-hmm.
win-win is either it's no longer win or lose. It's
Yeah.
win or learn. That's
Mm.
my why.
That's beautiful.
Let's go.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you
That's
for
what
asking. Thank you for
that
asking.
was a video I just saw on Instagram of Lauren Hill saying peaks and valleys are not good times and bad times. They're learning and mastership. So thank you.
Always. Always. Any final thoughts? Anything else before we get out of here?
I'm so grateful that you created this space for people, and I really appreciate the chance to share my story. There's always something new that comes out when I do this, so it was really meaningful to be with you today.
Glad to hear. Same here. Thank you for my flowers. I'm giving you
You're
yours as
welcome.
well. You are a gem. You are a jewel, and you stuck with me for life. Okay, you
That's
ain't nothing
fine.
you can do about it. You are stuck with me until you say, "All right, Dr. Branch, that's enough." Until then, I am here. So
That
this
works.
has been another episode of the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason
Beautiful.
Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, and we develop that
Hmm.
monarch energy. If this show has been a
Hmm.
blessing to you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, don't keep this to yourself. Give it away to
That's right.
somebody. Like, share,
Yes,
comment, subscribe. I don't care. Reach out to Jen. Say, hey, I want to be a butterfly. Can you help
please.
me?
Yes, please.
Do what you do. Much love. Good night. Good morning. Good day. Good life. Peace.